Have you ever felt that gentle nudge, or sometimes a not-so-gentle push, from well-meaning family members trying to steer your life after you turn 65? It's a common story, isn't it, as we get older? Sometimes our loved ones, out of care or concern, start to see us through a different lens. They might start making assumptions, offering unsolicited advice, or even trying to take over certain aspects of our lives, all because they care. But what if some things are better kept just for you? What if sharing certain details, even with those closest to us, can inadvertently lead to more stress, more worry, or even a loss of that precious independence we've worked so hard to cultivate? It's a painful reality that sometimes our desire for openness can backfire, leading to family dynamics that are far from peaceful. We often feel caught between wanting to be transparent and wanting to protect our own peace and autonomy. Today, we're going to explore a topic many of us think about but rarely discuss: the 5 secrets you should seriously consider keeping to yourself after the age of 65. These aren't about dishonesty, they're about boundaries, wisdom, and protecting your peace. We'll delve into why holding back on certain things can actually strengthen your relationships, reduce unnecessary family drama, and allow you to live your later years with greater freedom and joy. So, settle in, because what we're about to uncover might just change the way you interact with your family forever. And make sure you watch right to the very end, because I have something for you that will truly surprise you. Something that's perhaps the most important insight of all. Let's dive right into the very first secret. And for many, this is the biggest one: your exact financial situation. Now, I know what you might be thinking. But I trust my family, they should know. And yes, trust is vital. But financial transparency can often open a Pandora's box of unintended consequences, even with the most loving relatives. Think about it. When your children or other family members know the precise details of your savings, your investments, or even how much you spend on your daily coffee, it can subtly shift the dynamic. Suddenly, you might find yourself fielding questions about your spending habits, or getting unsolicited advice about how you should be managing your money. There might be suggestions about how you could help them out, or even an unspoken expectation about inheritance. This isn't necessarily malicious. Often, it comes from a place of genuine concern, or sometimes, from their own financial anxieties projected onto you. Consider a story I heard recently about a woman named Martha. Martha, always open with her children, shared details about her retirement nest egg. Not long after, her son, struggling with his own business, started subtly hinting about a temporary loan. Then her daughter wondered aloud why Martha was still living in such a big house when she could downsize and free up capital. Martha, who loved her home and her comfortable lifestyle, suddenly felt judged and pressured. What started as innocent transparency turned into a source of constant anxiety, eroding her sense of financial autonomy. She felt like her money was no longer truly hers to enjoy as she pleased, but rather a community chest for family discussion and potential claims. The truth is, your financial peace often depends on a certain degree of privacy. It's not about distrust. It's about protecting your independence and preventing future conflicts. You've worked your entire life for what you have. It's your security, your comfort, and your legacy to manage as you see fit. You are not obligated to disclose every penny you possess, every investment you make, or every purchase you enjoy. Of course, it's wise to have important documents like your will, powers of attorney for finances, and healthcare directives in order, and for a trusted family member or professional to know where these documents are located. But knowing where the documents are is vastly different from knowing the contents of your bank account. So, what's the actionable advice here? First, if you haven't already, establish clear boundaries around financial discussions. When family asks about your money, you can politely say, I have everything well in hand. Thank you for your concern. Or, my finances are private, but rest assured, I've planned for my future. You don't need to justify or explain. Second, consult with a financial advisor or an estate planner who can help you structure your affairs in a way that provides for your needs and future wishes, without needing to involve family in every detail. This allows you to make informed decisions independently. Third, consider what information is absolutely essential for your family to know in case of an emergency, versus what is simply curiosity. For instance, knowing who your bank is, or the name of your financial advisor, is prudent. Knowing your exact net worth or specific stock holdings usually is not. Remember, the goal here is to maintain your financial dignity and freedom, not to create secrecy where there's no need. It's about being smart and strategic. Your peace of mind is invaluable, and sometimes, a little discretion goes a long way in preserving it. You deserve to enjoy your golden years without feeling like your every financial move is under a microscope, or that your assets are seen as an early inheritance by others. This freedom allows you to make choices that truly serve your best interests and happiness, without external pressure. It ensures that your resources are used to enhance your life, as you envisioned it, rather than becoming a source of contention or expectation. Having a solid plan in place, and ensuring that plan is known to a trusted person in broad strokes, but not in minute detail, provides security without inviting unnecessary interference. This level of financial privacy isn't selfish, it's self-preservation. It fosters respect for your autonomy and helps prevent family members from making assumptions or plans based on your money. Imagine the relief of not having to justify a vacation you want to take, or a home improvement you desire, simply because your family knows your balance. This secret allows you to live more freely, making choices that resonate with your own desires and needs, rather than being swayed by the opinions or perceived needs of others. It's about living life on your own terms, with your financial choices truly being yours. Now that we've talked about guarding your financial peace, let's move on to the next secret you might consider keeping to yourself: those minor health complaints or anxieties. I'm talking about the little aches, the off days, or even your general worries about aging. Of course, if you have a serious medical diagnosis that requires family support or shared decision-making, that's different. But too often, we can fall into the habit of sharing every twinge and every passing concern. And while our families mean well, this can have an unintended effect. They might start seeing you as frail, fragile, or even incapable, long before you actually are. Picture this: you mention to your daughter that your knee has been a bit stiff lately, or that you had a restless night's sleep. Suddenly, she's researching joint supplements, calling doctors on your behalf, or suggesting you shouldn't go for your usual walk. Your son might start insisting on driving you everywhere, even places you're perfectly capable of navigating yourself. While this concern comes from a loving place, it can slowly erode your sense of self-reliance. It can make you feel like you're under constant medical observation, or that every little sign of aging is a catastrophe waiting to happen. Before you know it, you're being treated like an invalid, when all you had was a fleeting ache. Your family's perception of your health can significantly impact your perceived autonomy. If they constantly worry, they might inadvertently try to limit your activities, push for unnecessary assistance, or even begin discussions about moving you to assisted living. All because they're operating from a place of exaggerated concern. You want your family to see you as capable, vibrant, and independent for as long as possible, not as someone who needs constant managing. So, what's the actionable advice here? Practice discretion when asked how you are. A general, "I'm doing well, thank you," or "just fine, enjoying the day," is often sufficient. If you do have a minor ache, consider whether sharing it is truly necessary, or if it just invites worry. If you are genuinely concerned about a health issue, discuss it with your doctor first. They are the professionals who can give you accurate information and advice, without the emotional overlay of family concern. Focus on sharing your wellness and your triumphs, your active life, and your plans. This reinforces a positive image of your capabilities. Let them see you living life fully, rather than dwelling on every minor bodily change. This preserves their perception of you as a strong, capable individual, allowing you to maintain your independence and agency. Now, let's turn our attention to a third secret: your personal boundaries and your genuine desires for independent living or social activities. This one can be tricky, because family often has an idea of what your life should look like in your later years, an idea that might not align with yours. They might envision frequent family gatherings, constant availability for childcare, or a certain level of social interaction that you may or may not desire. The painful reality here is that if you don't clearly define and protect your personal space, time, and preferences, you can find yourself feeling overwhelmed, resentful, or simply not living the life you truly want. For example, you might cherish quiet time at home, but your family constantly pushes you to join social clubs or attend every single family event. Or perhaps you enjoy your solitude, but they interpret that as loneliness and try to fill your calendar. The secret here isn't about being dishonest, but about not feeling obligated to explain or justify your personal choices and boundaries for your own time and energy. Imagine Jane, who loved her grandchildren dearly, but found herself exhausted by weekly babysitting duties. She felt guilty admitting she needed more personal time, so she just kept saying yes. This led to her feeling drained and irritable. Instead, Jane could have set a boundary without over-explaining, "I adore spending time with the little ones, but I'll need to schedule it to once every 2 weeks for a few hours. That allows me to recharge and be my best self for them." The secret is her need for that time, not a reflection on her love. The actionable step here is to gently but firmly communicate your boundaries without over-justifying or seeking approval. You have every right to decide how you spend your time and energy. You can say, "I'm not available that day." Without needing to elaborate, you can say, "I appreciate the invitation, but I'm going to enjoy a quiet evening at home." Without feeling obligated to explain your preference for solitude. It's about respecting your own needs first, which allows you to show up more authentically when you do engage. Your time is precious, and how you choose to spend it is entirely up to you. Maintaining this personal sovereignty is crucial for your well-being. And finally, for this section, let's talk about a fourth secret: your past regrets or mistakes. We all have them, don't we? Things we wish we'd done differently. Choices we made that didn't turn out as we hoped. As we age, sometimes these memories can resurface, and there can be a temptation to share them with our family, perhaps seeking understanding or to unburden ourselves. However, endlessly revisiting past regrets, especially if they involve old family dynamics or perceived wrongs, can inadvertently introduce unnecessary negativity and tension into present relationships. The painful reality is that bringing up old grievances or expressing deep regrets about things long past can sometimes create new problems rather than resolving old ones. Your family members might not have the context. They might feel responsible, or they might simply not know how to react. It can lead to uncomfortable conversations, a feeling of blame, or even cause a ripple effect of old hurts resurfacing among other family members. The past is often best left in the past when its resurrection serves only to stir up unease. For example, if you lament a career choice you made decades ago, it might make your children feel pressured about their own careers or feel guilty. If you dredge up an old family dispute, it could reignite resentments. Your wisdom from experience is valuable, but that doesn't mean every painful lesson needs to be retold as a present burden. The actionable advice here is to practice forgiveness, primarily for yourself. Understand that you did the best you could. If you feel a need to process these regrets, consider talking to a trusted friend, a spiritual advisor, or a therapist. These professionals can provide a safe space for reflection without involving your family in emotional baggage that might not be their burden to bear. Focus on the present and the future. Your family wants to see you happy and at peace, not weighed down by the past. By not dwelling on old mistakes, you model resilience and a forward-looking perspective, encouraging a more positive atmosphere within your family relationships. That brings us to our fifth and final secret, one that holds immense power for your future freedom and happiness, your specific plans for your future independent choices. This could be anything from plans to travel, to a significant purchase, considering a new living arrangement, or even pursuing a new relationship later in life. Often, our families have preconceived notions of what our lives should look like after 65. They might expect us to settle down, slow down, or stick close to home. When we hint at or openly share plans that deviate from their expectations, it can sometimes be met with disproportionate worry, criticism, or even active discouragement, all under the guise of caring. The painful reality is that sharing your dreams and independent aspirations too early, or in too much detail, can open the door to well-meaning but ultimately stifling objections. Your adult children might instantly jump to, "What if you fall?" if you mention solo travel. Or, "Is that really wise?" if you talk about taking up a challenging new hobby. They might project their own fears or anxieties onto your adventurous spirit. This isn't because they don't love you. It's often because they are trying to protect you, or perhaps trying to manage their own anxieties about your aging. But this protective instinct, however well-intentioned, can inadvertently make you second-guess yourself, dampen your enthusiasm, or even lead you to abandon a truly fulfilling plan. You might feel the need to constantly defend your choices, which can be exhausting and diminish the joy of planning for your own future. Consider the story of Robert. At 70, Robert decided he wanted to take a solo trip across parts of Europe, something he'd always dreamed of, when he tentatively mentioned it to his adult children. They immediately responded with a barrage of what-ifs. What if you get sick? What if your passport gets stolen? What about the language barrier? Who will look after the house? Their worries, though genuine, were so overwhelming that Robert started to doubt himself. He felt deflated, and the joy of the dream started to fade under the weight of their anxieties. He almost canceled his trip, feeling guilty for even contemplating something that caused them such stress. This is a common scenario. We seek validation, but instead, we often receive fear. The actionable advice here is to practice a little strategic silence until your plans are more concrete, or even fully realized. Instead of saying, "I'm thinking about traveling to Europe next year," which invites immediate debate, you might consider waiting until you've booked your tickets and have a rough itinerary. Then, you can announce, "I'm excited to tell you I've booked my dream trip to Europe." This shifts the conversation from, "Should you do this?" to, "Tell me more about your trip." You're presenting a done deal, not an open debate. This approach allows you to pursue your passions and make independent choices without the burden of preemptive family anxiety. It protects your dreams and your energy. This same principle applies to big purchases, considering a move to a new place, or even entering a new romantic relationship. These are deeply personal choices that are yours alone to make. You don't need a family committee to approve your life. Your autonomy at this stage of life is paramount. By sharing your independent plans when they are more developed, or when you are ready to implement them, you assert your self-reliance and your right to live life on your own terms. It fosters an environment where your family celebrates your adventures, rather than trying to stifle them with their anxieties. It's about living your life boldly and fully, not cautiously to appease others. Your happiness and fulfillment are too important to be derailed by well-meaning worries that aren't your responsibility to manage. So, we've talked about these 5 powerful secrets: keeping your exact financial situation private, practicing discretion about minor health complaints, setting firm boundaries around your personal time and activities, leaving past regrets in the past, and strategically sharing your independent future plans. Each of these secrets isn't about deception. It's about wisdom, self-preservation, and cultivating relationships that are built on respect for your autonomy, rather than on unsolicited advice or worry. Remember, these are strategies to protect your peace, your independence, and your joy in these golden years. You've earned the right to live life on your own terms, with dignity and freedom. It's about understanding that our families love us, but their love can sometimes manifest as a desire to control or overprotect. By consciously choosing what we share, we empower ourselves to navigate these dynamics with grace and strength. Small changes in how we communicate can make an enormous difference in our daily happiness and the overall harmony of our family relationships. It's about shifting from a place of reaction to one of proactive protection of your peace. Imagine the lightness you'll feel, the freedom in your choices, and the depth of genuine connection that can grow when these underlying anxieties and expectations are diffused. I truly hope this conversation has given you some valuable insights and practical tools for living your best life after 65. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences on this topic. Have you encountered similar situations? What strategies have you found helpful in navigating family dynamics and maintaining your independence? Please share your wisdom in the comments below. Your insights could help so many others in our community. If this video resonated with you, if it gave you even one helpful idea, please give it a thumbs up. Your likes really help our content reach more people who might benefit from these discussions. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel. We share new videos every week designed to help you live a vibrant, fulfilling, and joyful life at every age. Don't miss out on more tips and inspiration to truly thrive. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Remember, your later years are a time for growth, for joy, and for living authentically. Embrace your independence, cherish your peace, and live your best life at every age. You deserve it.